Hi, and welcome to another tutorial. So this is kind of a follow-on from the chord progression tools video I did a few weeks ago. So we're just going to create a quick progression using those tools. So I'm going to use a 1, a C, a flattened sixth, which is an A flat, fourth or subdominant, which is an F, and a flattened third, which is an E flat. So here's our 4-bar initial progression. So I'm sure you've heard this before. So what we're going to do is create an 8-bar progression using the same chords. So I'm going to take the first 3 of those chords, and the fourth, the F, I'm going to double the length of that. So there's one way of changing things up without changing any notes. So just changing the rate of change, or in this case, actually removing one of the changes. So what other ways could we add some more change or development into this without actually altering or adding any extra notes or chords so far? So one way we have of doing that is with inversions. So here's a few I prepared earlier. So our fourth chord, our F. So let's have a look at what an inversion is. So you can see F, A, C. So that's the normal chord as is. And the first inversion, so you can see the A is in the bass. That's the only change. All the notes are exactly the same, just the order is different. And in the second inversion, we have our C in the bass. So let's have a listen. So each has a slightly different tonal quality, even though they have the exact same notes. So let's have a look at that in action in our progression. So again, let's loop that. Let's Command or Control and L to set up our loop points. So we're going to use a second inversion here. So we're going to drop down the C into the bass, so you can see we've got a C 2 chords before that. So for me that sounds nicer. We're dropping down at the end of the progression, which is quite nice. So again, an inversion is simply exactly the same notes, just in a different order. So first inversion has the third in the bass, and the second inversion has the fifth in the bass. Okay, so one little trick I usually do once I'm creating a progression like this is to create a guide track. So I'm going to select all those chords, and holding down Alt or Option, I'm going to drag up and basically keep all those chords there when they're named, just as a visual guide. So then I'm going to go Command or Control J to consolidate our actual playing MIDI clip. You can notice that there's nothing in our guide track. It's just showing us what chord is where. I find this very handy a little bit later on when we're adding melodies, etc. So now we have our chord progression. Let's build a bass line using the same notes. So we're going to again Alt or Option and drag down to our bass track. We can recolor it, rename it, whatever you like. So what we're going to do here is basically select all the notes, make them the same length, make them a lot shorter, and arpeggiate the pattern. So we're getting a different flavor on our bass line, even though we have exact same notes. So drag them down to a quarter note length. Then we can start moving them around. So I'll quickly do this before we start playing, just so we don't go insane listening to the same loop constantly, which I find a bit annoying. I try and listen to loops as little as I can, and always take breaks, otherwise you end up not hearing anything really, because you're just hearing it too often. Okay, so once I've just gotten a few bits of velocity data in, just to create a bit of a pulse, we shall play the clip. Okay. So we might also select them all. So Command or Control A, and then Shift and the down arrow key to drop down by an octave. So now let's just move the notes around, find a little groove. Now obviously this totally depends on your drum beat, but we're just going to work with this example as is without drums. What you can do as well is use the modifiers in the clip itself, so reverse or inverse. So it's nice just to have contrary motion, even though you have the same notes, they might be in a different order. Again, creating change with the same notes. So what we can also do is change our note length. So we can go down to 8th notes. So bass lines are often in 8 notes in rock and various other genres. So that's the basic idea. You could also do the same thing with a melody. But maybe at this stage it might be a good idea just to actually play in a melody, jam over your chord and bass line and come up with something that way. So I hope this was a help, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Cheers.